Hey guys, welcome to another video, and you read the title right. It is once again about Glider Guy. As people say, third time's the charm. I originally didn't plan on making another video on this person, but then YouTube recommended me his newest video, which is about the Parlo situation. So I clicked on the video because I thought that he would have some informative or insightful take on the situation, since everyone else who talked about it also had an insightful or informative take. At least from the videos that I have seen.
You serious?
Yeah, I also don't know how I came up with that thought. His video was pretty much a complete mess. It is what I feared how my Parlo video would be. And because of that video, I have decided to make a third video on Glider Guy. And this video is essentially a response to Glider Guy's Parlo video. And according to a poll that I have made, most of you want to see me respond to that video too. But before I start the response, let me make something abundantly clear. I really don't like Parlo at all. The stuff that came out about him, in my opinion, is fucking dreadful. But I decided to respond to Glider Guy's video because it is clear that he did next to no research on the situation, despite him saying that he is a researcher apparently. And once again, I will skip the first minute and 20 seconds of the video, since it is just a mixture of a whip crack scene and a summary on who Parlo is, or was. And I think that it is just a waste of time to respond to that. But at 1 minute and 20 seconds, there is already something that I have to criticize right away.
So today we're going over absolutely everything. And if you think that Parlo's entire career is basically destroyed at this point, make sure you leave a like and subscribe so more people are aware of this, because this situation is genuinely one of the most insane things I've ever covered.
There are 2 points that I have to criticize right away. First off, Glider Guy is just blatantly lying, since he leaves out pretty crucial details. So he doesn't go over absolutely everything like he says he does. He only covers around 46% of everything in detail. The other things are either glossed over or outright ignored. And also about the second point, do you really have to beg for likes right at the beginning? I get if you are asking for likes at the end of the video, because then the viewer can decide if they like your content or not, but doing this right at the beginning kinda feels wrong to me. I know this has nothing to do with the video in general, I just wanted to point that out because it really stuck out to me as being pretty weird. Anyways, let's continue.
Now first of all, let's start with Parlo's GoFundMe, which originally was called Please Help, and was originally supposed to help Parlo pay for necessary YouTube expenses, mainly editors.
No. It wasn't made to help Parlo with YouTube expenses, and I don't know where it got that info from. The GoFundMe was made during the dupe situation, since Parlo started getting strikes on his videos, and because of that he privated all of his old videos, and because of that he, according to Parlo himself, couldn't get any money for food and bills, which is why he supposedly made the GoFundMe. But that was proven to be a false pretense. But we will get there soon enough, trust me.
Now this right here is just slightly strange right off the bat, but what makes this really bad right here is this clip here from a 3-hour Discord call that we talked about, where Parlo was trying to clear his name.
Only my dad controlled my finances.
You're 20, right?
Yeah, and I don't know how to control my accounts.
Now, I mean, this is already a huge red flag to start things off, right? Look, I'm a YouTuber too, so I understand, right? I have editors, I have thumbnail artists, researchers, the whole lot, all to make sure that I can make the best Glider Guy videos for you guys possible, right? I understand, it's not cheap. It costs a lot of money to make this operation work. To have real people work for you on YouTube videos. You're basically running a business at that point. So for Parlo, I understand it costs a lot of money to have these people work for you, but if you have to have a GoFundMe in order to support basic operations of your YouTube channel, or maybe you just shouldn't have people working for you in the first place.
First of all, the clip you have shown blatantly contradicts your own point. Parlo explained that his dad has control over all of his accounts, which is something that was proven to be true since his father often threatened Parlo that he would delete Parlo's channel, thereby taking a source of income away from him, which is, by the way, also a crime called financial abuse. And then with the examples that you have named for the people that you have working for you with a thumbnail editor, I have to say that I honestly find it funny that you in that section showed only one of the AI generated thumbnails. Seriously, Glider Guy, how didn't you notice that? It really isn't the best look. also with the researcher, he really didn't do his best job in that video. But there is also something that you could have done to get every piece of information right, you know. You could have done your own research as well. You could have taken a look at other videos to get more information. To give my own example, I normally do all the research for my videos myself. The only two videos where I didn't do that was this video right here, because my friend Pris provided the Google Docs from both Internet Adjacent and Parlo, so I can do the full research. And the other one being my video on the Gapester document, where my friends Ericzilla1999 and Kyokli the Green Kaijin covered the document from paging before me, and I asked them if I can also talk about it. Other than those two cases, I always did the research myself, because sometimes you yourself are your best worker. And with that out of the way, let's continue. And his next statement is kinda weird. Just take a look.
But also, there's a second part to this, right? Parlo is 20 years old. I, Glider Guy, am also 20 years old. So look, if there's anyone qualified outside of Parlo's immediate circle who can understand what his financial situation could be like, it's me. I understand what's going on here. I'm as close to what Parlo is doing as they come on YouTube.
The foolishness of that comment is so deep, I can only ascribe it to higher education. You have to have gone to college to say something that stupid.
Glider Guy, I will now be completely honest with you. I don't know where you are getting this sort of confidence from. You are a fucking outsider to the situation, my guy. Your age has nothing to do with that. You have no idea of his financial situation in the slightest. And now we get to his explanation for why he supposedly knows his financial situation. And I'm not kidding. I actually facepalmed when I first saw his explanation.
Now, Parlo's channel before all of this drama right here was pulling more views than me. I think I remember it being like 2.5 to 3 million views per month. I, Glider Guy, on average pull just under 2 million views a month. So basically, at most times, Parlo is pulling more monthly views than me, which means that on YouTube, I could only imagine that as long as Parlo's videos weren't getting demonetized, Parlo was actually making more money than me. I don't know exactly how many people work for Parlo or how much he was paying them on a monthly basis, but with that amount of views that Parlo is getting right there should absolutely be no problem with him paying his staff. The fact that he even needed a GoFundMe in the first place is insanely sketchy and makes me think that Parlo's reasoning for needing a GoFundMe was his own spending habits.
Again, around the time where the GoFundMe was made was when Parlo privated all of his videos during the dupe situation, which can be seen from the curve going all the way down. And again, the GoFundMe was supposedly made for personal needs like food and bills. And also, the last screenshots that you've shown only shows bank balance payouts, and we will get into that.
And let me tell you, my suspicions are absolutely correct. You guys saw before that Parlo said that his dad controls his finances, right? Well, here's what he said on Discord about that. At everyone, my dad has control of my finances currently and is not putting more money into my account. I will be providing full screenshot proof that the money used from the GoFundMe was used on rent and food and I did not scam anyone. Then goes on to say that he'll be refunding everyone. This doesn't really seem too bad, you might be thinking. Well, apparently this statement from Parlo here was just a complete lie.
I honestly don't have too much to say here since he just cited a Discord message, but now we get to the sources that he cited, and that is where the video really starts derailing. So here we go.
A person called Alex Tanuki on Twitter, who knows Parlo personally, basically told everyone to not support Parlo's GoFundMe. This person has actually gotten access to Parlo's finances and one of his accounts, and it turns out that literally 1 week after Parlo created this GoFundMe to help pay for essential finances, found out that he was paying for plane tickets to London for Alex to come out, and by Alex's own words here, funding random trips with hookups.
Wow, Glider Guy's allergy to research is showing once again. Yes, Tanuki was one of the people that started calling him out, but Glider Guy, Alex wasn't the one who found out about the payouts, nor was he the one who got the plane tickets to London for a hookup. The person who found out all of that was fellow commentary YouTuber Internet Adjacent, or Wolfgang, who started calling out Parlo at the same time as Alex. Also, Parlo tried explaining that he paid for everything through his own balance, but as Guamgo has said, that doesn't matter. Once a GoFundMe is made, all of your finances and payouts matter. And also, this is my own opinion by the way, if Parlo had enough to buy plane tickets and a gaming laptop, which was worth at least $1,000 according to Wolfgang's document, he didn't need a GoFundMe. But that is just my own opinion, I could be wrong there.
Now correct me if I'm wrong, Parlo, but random trips with hookups does not sound like an absolute essential when you're in a dire financial situation. And this is what Parlo means, I'm assuming, by the fact that he's indirectly scamming his fans by having a GoFundMe to pay for essential expenses when none of the expenses that he's paying for are essential. Essentially, the guy's just completely lying. But also, it is important to note that Parlo has basically said that all the money from the GoFundMe is being refunded to everyone involved. So at least to our knowledge so far, Parlo isn't just taking the money and running away.
Again, if your researcher would have done a bit more research, you would know that Parlo can't refund anything at the moment because Parlo's GoFundMe was frozen, possibly due to too many reports being submitted. But anyways, now he begins to talk about the 3-hour-long interview, and I will skip the first 2 points because those 2 points are things I simply don't know enough about. Again, I am still in the process of finding out as much as possible from my own Parlo video, so I'm sorry. The first point, by the way, was Parlo allegedly diddling around with people without verifying their ages. And to be fully honest, I vaguely remember having seen evidence for that somewhere, but I could be wrong there, so take that with a massive grain of salt. If any of you have more evidence on that, please let me know and send me that evidence. That would also help with my own research. The second point was about Parlo weaponizing trauma and him suicide baiting, and I can remember that he did something like that quite often. I don't have screenshots for that, sorry about that by the way, but I definitely remember seeing that behavior from Parlo. So, let's just jump to the third point.
So we'll move on to this next section, which really only makes this all worse. This next section is talking about Parlo's editors, and how there were contracts that were apparently wildly in Parlo's favor and didn't protect his editor called Cormax here. This situation goes that Cormax allegedly wasn't being paid when he should, and Parlo is being accused of making Cormax lock into a dodgy contract in order to get paid. And here's what Parlo had to say about that.
And editors have been paid as well.
Forever received this payment?
Yes, everyone's been paid. Cormax has been paid.
Why did Cormax have to get locked into a contract yesterday to receive payment?
He didn't get locked into a contract. He initiated a contract in order to engage with this. I didn't lock a contract with him. He came to me about the contract.
Why is he claiming that you guys have a contract?
The contract, because we had agreed to be paying in block.
Okay, look, a lot of that clip right there is just he said, she said. It's really hard to understand who's lying and who's telling the truth. It's really easy to give Parlo the benefit of the doubt, but Cormax isn't there to speak on his behalf, who is apparently Parlo's editor. So it's hard to say who initiated the contract, who did this, who did that, because a lot of this stuff is hard to track, right? I'm assuming all of this was on Discord, but the general idea is that it's really hard to believe Parlo in this situation, that he didn't initiate a contract that didn't protect Cormax, because Parlo's track record at this point is so bad that it's just hard to believe him.
Bladder guy, you don't have to say allegedly on this point anymore, because Guamgo in his video on Parlo confirmed that Parlo in fact didn't pay his editors for 5 months. And for the people who don't know, Guamgo was in Parlo's inner friend circle. The two were very close. So I think we can take Guamgo's word there. Here's the clip in question, by the way.
What makes this even worse is that he hadn't paid his editors in almost 5 months and was still asking friends like me to handle his work for free. Meanwhile, he bought a new gaming laptop worth around $2,100 or about 1,600 sterling as he said, and a brand new phone which is probably around $500 to $800. Normally that wouldn't be a problem, but when you're begging strangers for money to stay afloat, that's not a good look. I even offered to help him make money again by letting him upload on my channel while his was still locked. But instead of being responsible, he spent thousands on technology in his trip.
Look, I do not know if it was specifically Cormax being discussed here, since the username obviously says Frev, but even then, once again, it was proven that Parlo didn't pay his editors for 5 months, and that Parlo instead bought bullshit with that money. The next point can be skipped as well, because Parlo's getting accused of making his editor sign an NDA, and I currently have no way of verifying that. I will look into it though.
I just want the ability to, after this video comes out, people can choose to fucking hate me or forgive me, whatever. I don't really care. I just want to leave, and the rest I'll do on my own volition. No baiting or anything like that.
I mean, bro, at this point, his own circle is turning on him privately. Basically, everyone that was associated with Parlo before this drama is publicly outing him, most notably the YouTuber Guamgo, who has nearly 1 million views talking about this guy. And at this point, before his channel got terminated, he was gonna make one final response video talking about everything, which obviously now, since his channel has been terminated, is a pretty difficult thing for him to do.
And if you would have looked into most of the videos covering Parlo, you would have so much more to cover in your video, since many people in his friend circle are calling him out by now. Not only Guamgo called him out, Ducky, for example, made 2 videos on Parlo, with the first one explaining on how Parlo was running a smear campaign against Ducky. While I don't like Ducky, I'm willing to believe him because he sounded very sincere during that video. Another person close to Parlo, Brion, made a 40-minute video on Parlo where he discussed Brion's problems with Parlo. And even aside from that, there are hundreds of videos covering the Parlo situation. You could have used a lot of those videos for research, because here's something that you didn't cover, even though the reason is public knowledge: why Parlo's channel was terminated. So basically, for the people who don't know, a few days ago someone took control of Parlo's channel and started uploading fellatio on there, leading to the channel getting community guideline strikes, which eventually culminated in Parlo's channel getting terminated. That is something that you would know if you would have taken a look at Guamgo's second video. Again, Glider Guy, you are sometimes your best worker, even when it comes to research. And now we have a section which actually made me lose it when I first watched it. Just take a look.
And what makes it even worse is that everyone's basically just turning on him.
Somehow you stretch the allegations and you lie. You always lie and you get away with it.
Just ask you some questions. Why did you add, like, you made a 75-page Word doc? Dude, you made a 75-page Word doc!
I mean, bro, at this point, like, this call is literally just a war zone right there. People talking about allegations, lying, and then I guess that 75-page doc. Like, bro, what is going on here?
The thing that makes me angry is how Glider Guy is just mentioning that 75-page doc that Parlo made as if it would just be some random doc. For the people who don't know, in response to Wolfgang's document, Parlo released his own Google Doc on the situation. The intent was to clear his name, but that document didn't do that, since the whole document was just him oversharing and giving too much information on his sex life, going into a lot of uncomfortable detail that I cannot mention here. But anyways, that Google Doc and his behavior after the release was pretty much the catalyst for his downfall. Those two things are why everyone is now against him. Glider Guy, here's a direct question for you. Did you read either Parlo's or Wolfgang's document? Because while Wolfgang took the original upload of his document down, there are re-uploads of that document out there. And I have to say, I hope that you did read at least one of the two, because it is a basic thing that you have to do to get the gist of the situation.
I mean, bro, this is literally, as you can see, like a 10v1 right here, and Parlo's just getting absolutely destroyed. Look, even if a lot of what we talked about today, Parlo is entirely innocent, which, to be honest, it's kind of hard to see that being true, he's basically admitted himself that his career is over and he doesn't know if he's returning, and his entire channel has been terminated, so, I mean, there's that as well.
I don't think that the scenario of Parlo being innocent can apply here, since there is too much evidence stacked against Parlo. And even if he would have made a response, it wouldn't have saved his career. And that is essentially Glider Guy's video, by the way. I feel like I should say this. I am not an expert on the Parlo situation. I'm still researching stuff about this, which is why I couldn't go into too much detail regarding certain topics. And I am genuinely sorry if I got some things wrong. I really apologize for that. But I decided to respond to this simply because he just got many things blatantly wrong, to the point that even I, with my limited knowledge, could point out most of the flaws. And I don't want potential misinformation being spread. But don't get me wrong, this is not my Parlo video. It will take time until I get to the video itself, since making such a complicated video does take a lot of time to make, and I want to look at all the details at my own pace to not get anything wrong. I hope you understand that. I am just afraid that if I just crank out a video, it will have just as many flaws as Glado Guy's video. So please be patient regarding that video, and thank you for understanding. And that's it for today's video. I will now credit the people who helped me behind the scenes. Thank you John2008, Indominus Pack, Spino Blue, Spinozilla 2005 and Unfortunate for making the character stills in my videos. Thank you Flame Plasmanian for making my channel's intro. Thank you Gatorboy for making the official Cretaceous Critiques logo. Thank you Draken and Indominus Pack for making my channel's profile picture. Thank you Spino Blue for making my new background. Thank you Kyoki the Green Kaijin for checking my video prior to the upload. And thank you Draken for making my thumbnail border. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and join the Discord server, link in the description. I'll see you all in the next video. Stay cold and adios.